people are safe.
When he returns, I will be here, waiting.
Next time you can wait alone. Your unthinking vengeance nearly destroyed all of us.
You don't understand! Any of you! Don't you know what he is? Don't you know what he'll do?
Easy, Sugar. There's nothing more to be done right now.
Stay away! I thought you understood. I won't rest until Apocalypse is destroyed. Or I am.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of GospelX, the Gospel According to the X-Men. My name is Jonathan, and this is my pal Henry, and we're just so glad that you can join us today as we take a look at X-Men, the animated series in the 1990s. And unfortunately, we realized that we went out of sync and out of order from how it was written. But as we are all Christians, I'm sure you can forgive us. So, all right. So the episode that we're about to embark on, Henry, you got to help me. So what was this season and what's the episode? It's season 3 still, right?
Oh yeah, we are season 3. Chronologically, this is the aired episode 10.
Episode 10, entitled
Obsession,
where we have this character named Archangel completely obsessed to destroy Apocalypse for making him blue.
Making him evil.
Okay, making him evil. I think when somebody turns your skin permanently blue, I think that's also a bad thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad, but I'd say that, he's still alive. He doesn't have it the worst.
The worst, yeah.
Worst, right? But let's just talk a little bit about this episode.
Yeah, go for it. How about you kick us off?
How previously, Apocalypse had captured Archangel and turned him into one of his 4 horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, Rogue did a little bit of the absorby stuff and then turned him kind of good again.
Mm-hmm.
Away some of the evil. But now Archangel, as the title of this episode is, Obsession. He is completely obsessed with destroying Apocalypse. Apocalypse took away his life, took away his humanity, ruined his life, and Archangel has made it his life goal to utterly destroy Apocalypse in any way it can. He goes and does a lot of research, finds a little bit of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Apocalypse has a weak point because up to this point, it's been hinted that Apocalypse is indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
Out there, he rampages. The X-Men come and save him. They go find the ship that Apocalypse uses as his base, and they fight there. One interesting scene I want to point out is when Beast and the ship manage to trap Apocalypse in the prison, right?
Yeah.
Prison. And Apocalypse is going to be trapped there forever. He's unable to escape. And what does the Archangel do? He doesn't care. He doesn't care that Apocalypse is going to be trapped forever.
No, he has to be dead.
So he goes and shoots at the computer to try to drop the force field that Apocalypse is trapped in to get at him. And it just goes to show that when you are so obsessed with destroying your enemy,
Mm-hmm.
matter anybody else's well-being, anybody else's thoughts, anybody else's feelings, their opinions. It's either your way or the highway.
Or their livelihood, right? It could be endangering people's livelihood with your obsession.
Yeah, it's endangering people with your livelihood. Eventually, the ship ends up shooting Apocalypse out into space. The ship just sacrifices itself. Hank McCoy is very sad,
Yeah, first time they met, they dated once.
And it seems like they were like the closest friends ever.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like the closest thing to becoming a girlfriend or something.
Yeah, to Hank McCoy. But the blind girl too,
oh yeah, right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But
anyway,
right, so the ship, and then the last line Archangel says is, "You don't understand. Nobody understands. I have to do this. And he just flies off on his own, waiting for Apocalypse to come back so that he can get his revenge.
Yeah, and then it's interesting how, he could care less about the livelihoods of, the X-Men who were saving him, right? He could care less of the livelihoods of the entire world, apparently. He just wants to, he's just obsessed to destroy Apocalypse. And throughout that whole
lash out, to destroy.
To lash out and to destroy.
Indiscriminately.
Indiscriminately. And, before we were preparing this episode, just before you guys joined us, we were actually chatting about, Henry actually brought up a good question. Do we see obsession today? And we ended up talking about current events of what's happening in the States right now with the recent shooting of Jake Blake, was it? Or in Wisconsin?
Yeah, in Kenosha.
Yeah, Kenosha, Wisconsin. He was shot in the back a few times by policemen. And then, of course, riots happened because Jake Blake is black. And quickly, this protest happened and violence erupted. And you have a white teenager that shot 2 people to death or something like that. Looting, the typical story again. I don't want to, bring it down to a level of, here we go again, but really it is here we go again, right?
Here we go again.
Grocery stores being looted, people's businesses, family businesses being ruined.
Cars
and then, of
being
course,
set on fire.
Cars being set, and also COVID is not even gone yet, right? COVID hasn't even disappeared yet. And so people are still reeling from that. And then we have NHL games canceled, NBA games canceled because, well, actually, it's interesting, right? The NBA games canceled because the players decided, but then the NHL got pressured by the media to actually cancel. And so that was interesting. So what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that...
is that obsession?
There is an obsession here. I mean, there is a perceived kind of systemic oppression that one group feels like another group is dealing with, and they're just lashing out indiscriminately. I mean, what's the proper response to this? To any shooting, right? You have to go and examine all the facts. You have to go and see, hey, what is it exactly? What's going on? And come to a reasonable conclusion. If the police officer did something wrong, he should be punished for it, right? But you shouldn't just go off on your own tangent, just using your emotions and going to lash out at everything around you. Looting businesses is not okay. Burning cars is not okay. Causing riots is not okay. Injuring other people, shooting up other people, that's not okay. And yet, this is the same type of mentality that we saw in this X-Men episode, that indiscriminate obsession with lashing out and trying to destroy your enemy. That's kind of what we're seeing all over the media right now.
Yeah, it seems like the whole idea of justice, you're innocent until proven guilty, is now skipped over due to obsession. I understand. I think you and I both agree that, the previous protests, the previous movements earlier on was due to the fact that there was no justice, that the people who did this shooting, the people who the perpetrators, the policemen, were not put on trial, and there was no disciplinary action that equated their of what they did. But here in this story, there was no space for that. There was just one day and then the next day, and I think this is where you're getting at, is that people have now become obsessed with this. There are groups of people that are obsessed with this, that it doesn't even matter whether there needs to be dialogue. There's no dialogue anymore. It goes from one point, like cause, and then response.
At this point, it's anytime anyone who is white shoots anyone who is black, it is now becoming a Black Lives Matter. The context doesn't matter anymore. Right?
Yeah, context doesn't matter anymore.
Context doesn't matter anymore, regardless of situation or this particular circumstances. As long as a white person is shooting a black person, the obsession is that this is another example of that systemic kind of oppression that one group is putting onto another group. So
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like to lighten the issue a little bit. It's like what's her name? Something Williams, the tennis player, Serena Williams. Remember her going on that tirade when against the umpire, and then she immediately went to say that you are racist and sexist.
Pulls the race card.
Pulls out the race card. Pulls out the sexist card.
What is it? Her opponent was a
Japanese.
Wasn't it? I mean, are you hard against your opponent who's also of a minority race?
Yeah. And then during that interview, she goes, "Yeah, I'm fighting for women's rights and black rights. All that stuff." It's like, I'm like, wait a minute, all that stuff? So you're just pulling out whatever card you can in order to justify your actions. It's like,
So, I mean, when there's a particular ideology right now that's, so popular, and the popular ideology is that, minority or kind of ideas or people are being oppressed, then it's very easy to tap into the group emotional kind of construct there. The moment that you bring up that, and then there's this whole upswelling of emotion. And even though people don't, if the facts don't line up, the people are so triggered by it, right?
Yep.
The obsession is so high that they're just gonna go and lash out along with them.
Yeah, and we have that too here, in Vancouver, where we had that street preacher, right?
He broke some guy's leg.
Broke some guy's leg.
What is going on?
Yeah, what is going on? And it's like, the street preacher would say, you're going against my religious freedoms. And then of course, the guy who's a staff member at News 1130, of course, is you're going against LGBTQ, and it's only bang. It's like it just escalated.
You can have a dialogue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people, that's how you go and go about these kind of things.
So two obsessions hitting head on.
And then turning into violence. I think we can all agree that no matter what people are obsessed with, or they feel like any kind of injustice has been done, violence is not the answer.
No. And
it's never the answer.
So just to bring in some theological or gospel principle behind this is that, Henry and I are not, for those who are listening and probably getting triggered as we speak, and we're not against protests. We're not against action against injustice. What we're trying to say is that there are groups of people that are so obsessed that they neglect the fact of the overall flourishing of everyone, of the overall livelihoods of everyone, and the safety of everyone. Like, we're in COVID right now, and there are many businesses that are struggling. There are ways to do things, protest, and there's ways to protest in a way that is not to destroy people's livelihoods. You agree? It's because of our obsessions that we become obsessed that we neglect the fact of loving our neighbor. So just to bring in some passages, like in 1 Peter chapter 4, he even says that instructs Christians, hey, you know what? Don't be known as an asshole, right? His
exact words, right?
Well, I paraphrase, but yeah, don't be known as an asshole. Don't be famous as an asshole, right? Like, you don't want to be an asshole and everyone knows you because you're an ass, right? Like, no, you're supposed to be known as a loving person, as a Christian who do good works, not as a Christian who is an ass. Okay. And so therefore, and it's because he's talking to people that are very pious, who is very obsessed in telling people that they're sinners and they're, just like the street preacher, right? And so Peter says, don't do that. That's totally not Christ-like. And what we are here for is to be known as people of good works and good deeds and encouraging words to give other people encouragement so that they can come to know Jesus on their own through our good deeds. And so totally, diffuse the obsession of our tendencies, obsessive tendencies. Mm-hmm. So, so that's it from me. And anything you want to add?
No, other than the whole fact that, this, as we move on to the X-Men series, it's gonna seem a little bit out of order, but that's because upcoming seasons, there's a lot of chronological order stuff that goes on. So we're going to go and put it into the order that the writers intended, just so that you don't get different episodes mixed in. You know?
So if you're watching your episodes on Disney Plus, that's not chronological order. So stay tuned for our next episode. But till then, have a blessed week.